I wanted to take you through a quick tour of my moss garden that I have in my backyard. The moss that you see in these three containers started growing in my backyard, and then out of necessity I decided that I needed to move them into these containers. It helps me keep them clean, misted when necessary. Um, and also I found that they're just thriving. This front one is in compost and peat with a little topsoil. The one that I am moving to now is in a mix of azomite, volcanic grit, and sand, and that's thriving. This one here is strictly topsoil. And actually, no, excuse me, that's peat. That's peat in gardening soil. Also, those cuttings you see, those are mulberry tree cuttings and some false cypress cuttings that I stuck in there. Inside that one, there's a lot of earthworms. Over here, this is all akadama and pumice, and I have that piece growing there. Only that small piece because back when I first was doing it, they would die. That whole patch there, I propagated. That whole patch was full of moss, and I'm doing it again. That's why I have these small pieces, and once again, I'm pretty certain it'll grow like it did before, just that big patch. All the way down the edge of this fence, there's just moss growing. I have to cut my grass, but there's moss all along that fence. There are just huge patches of it. I bring it into these bins and keep it there and clean it and just pamper it until I'm ready to use it for my art pieces, which I'll show you the two art pieces that I've done so far. But you can see how full and rich and vibrant the color is, and this moss, it adapts quickly to whatever soil. And like I'm using these three types, you can see how gritty this soil is as compared to the one sitting next to it right here. I mean, this is all pretty much a mix of gardening soil and peat. The one in the front is more natural things, like there's this compost that I made out of dead leaves and trees and things like that. And I also, you can see there's rose leaves in there. I have a vibrant rose bush. That right there is a mulberry tree for where I got the cuttings from. That tree fruits every single year with these big white mulberries. I don't eat them, but that's the mulberry cutting, the one that sprouted some leaves. Now it has these leaves, but it has no roots, so figure that out. But that's not my goal. I pretty much am only propagating the moss, excuse me. But this is here one of my displays. When I first put moss in here, I didn't put this moss much in there. This moss has grown. I wish when I did set this up that I put more pumice on the edges, because the pumice, as you can see, if I use marble or pumice, it tends to stop the moss from growing to the edges. But I didn't do it all the way around, only at some points. I've been trying to squeeze pumice in there, because now this vase here, this pot is full of roots. Here's another one I recently did. Now this one on the edges, I put more rocks, dead wood, slate, granite, a stone here that I found. But even the moss is starting to grow up the edges. But when I put it along the sides, I put more along the edges of the pot, and that's helped to keep the moss from growing. I also will put in burnt wood chips as well, and that tends to help because as I've been babying this moss, it responded well to the treatment, and it's exploded in growth. And this tree that I'm showing you here, this is one of my maple trees. It's a sycamore maple. Here's another one of my maple trees. I grew all three of these maple trees that you see here, like this one. This is my newest one, from seed. You can see the seed there. I believe that's a red maple, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe somebody else that knows better will correct me if I'm wrong. And I have a couple of maple cuttings that I took from the second smallest, the middle tree, because it was growing in a wicked manner. But that's pretty much it. That's my art. Hope you enjoyed that.